Donald Trump's criminal trial continues here in New York this morning. A former attorney for adult film actor Stormy Daniels testified yesterday about money she received to stay quiet about an alleged sexual encounter with the former president. He denies all allegations against him. So I want to bring in CBS News campaign reporter and attorney Katrina Kaufman. She's following the trial for us from just outside of the courthouse. So, Katrina, we got some interesting testimony over the last couple of days, I guess, of court from Keith Davidson. What did we learn from him?
Good morning, Anne-Marie. So Davidson was a very important witness because, as you mentioned, he was the former attorney for Stormy Daniels, as well as for the former Playboy model Karen McDougal, who also allegedly had an affair with Trump during the time period when they made these payoff deals. So he was very key to bringing in information about the conversations that happened behind the scenes leading up to these deals, particularly between himself and Michael Cohen. We also saw a lot of documentation, text messages, emails, even a recording between him and Michael Cohen that came from later, where Cohen referred to the fact that Trump hated the fact that they had made the Stormy Daniels deal. But he really walked us through the agreement as well, the contract, which on the contract itself, it's actually listed as being between PP and DD, but P was for plaintiff, Stormy Daniels, and D was for defendant, and it was deciphered in another side letter we saw as being for Donald Trump. There was a striking moment as well where right after the election we saw a text message he sent to Dylan Howard, the former editor-in-chief of the National Enquirer, where he said, "What have we done?" And he told us in court that he felt that they had helped Trump's campaign and helped him really win the election by doing this deal.
Also heard two recordings yesterday. I think you talked a little bit about it. What was said that was kind of the most significant for you?
So the even more significant recording we heard was a conversation that Michael Cohen had secretly recorded between himself and Donald Trump. Now, this is the first time we've heard Trump's voice in the courtroom, that the jurors have heard his voice in the courtroom. He's been sitting there the whole time, of course, but quietly at the defense table. And in the recording, they're talking about the Karen McDougal payoff deal. You can hear Cohen talk about how they need to set up a company to transfer funds to their friend David. We can assume that's David Pecker, who was the former CEO of American Media, who gave Karen McDougal the money in the first place. And you can hear Trump speaking on this recording, saying what financing. He mentions cash. It was a little hard to fully hear, but it's very significant because it directly ties Trump to these dealings. So far, we've heard a lot about conversations that happened behind the scenes with David Pecker and Cohen and Dylan Howard and Davidson, but this is Trump himself talking about the Karen McDougal deal.
What was the purpose of the forensic analyst who took the stand, who's going to continue his testimony?
So he's a data analyst, and he was given 2 of Michael Cohen's iPhones. And it was important because he went through information that he found on them, including pages of contact information for key people involved in this trial: Donald Trump, Hope Hicks, Karen McDougal, and of course they pulled off that audio recording that we just talked about. It also showed Michael Cohen. There was a photo of him at the White House. So you can see the prosecution is using these witnesses that maybe they're not these names that we've been waiting for, like Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, but they're bringing in very significant testimony and materials for this case.
It ought to be really interesting. Way to work through all of that background noise, Katrina. It's the soundtrack of New York City, sirens and songbirds. Katrina, thank you very much.